Okay, before I start with the play review, I'm just going to say I am really sorry for the lack of reviews this year. I honestly have no one else to blame other than myself. I was procrastinating and I was getting caught up on a lot of my own personal projects. So just to remedy this, I might as well do the play review in a video style because, well, I'm going to be tying this in with another video that I'm making for myself.
Wait a minute!
I still gotta talk about the other plays that I missed out on. 4 plays for course actors is exactly what the title says it is. Every single bit of it was incompetent, and that was the entire point. Overall, I really enjoyed this play, though there are some jokes that dragged on for too long, especially the opera actors who refused to die.
Why won't you die?
Arabian Nights was also entertaining, though there are some moments where I was just like, wait, what? And to this day, I still don't get that ending. I'm sorry. Ragtime was probably the hardest play that I ever had to come up with an opinion on. Seriously, there are some things that I liked, some things that I didn't like, and then the next thing I know, some lady gets beaten to death. Now that those are out of the way, what play do I have to review this time? My Imaginary Pirate. Well, yo ho ho and a bottle of Captain Morgan or something like that. I need an eye patch! My Imaginary Pirate. I tried. So My Imaginary Pirate is about a kid named Jesse who, well, has an imaginary pirate enemy, turned friend, turned enemy, turned dead, but not really dead, and just so happens to be a gunslinging cowboy, One-Eyed Jack. You think that I'm making this up? Because I'm not. Yeah, this is one of the more childish plays the department has ever done. I mean, it's about a kid who has an imaginary best friend who's a pirate of all things! Now I'm sure that all of you may have had an imaginary friend at one point, and who knows, some of you may still do. Even I have one. Ain't that right, Jimmy? Jimmy says yes. But who is going to admit that they go to high school and still have an imaginary friend who's a pirate? Well, I might in the future, I just need to work on him. Of course, being a 3rd grader, probably the most embarrassing role for a high schooler to play, he has to go to school, and of course he brings the pirate with him. And while he's there, he goes off into his imagination while learning about multiplication. And in this imagination, his teacher, Miss Pierce, and I'm not kidding when I say this, defeats the enemy, Redlegs Ricky, with math. Math! If you're going to tell me that he's that bad at multiplication, then you might as well be telling me that he's bad at counting his own booty. Booty. Okay, putting all of that aside, this play isn't childish nonsense for the sake of entertainment. It actually has a moral, saying that friendship is the most important thing that you can ever have. But you shouldn't leave your imaginary friends behind. Or at least the memories that you had with that imaginary friend. Because Jesse does end up making some new friends, including this girl named Phoebe, who originally didn't like him because of his imaginary friends, so why is she his friend now? And Jesse does admit that his best friend was imaginary, leading him to fight One-Eyed Jack and kill him. Except not really, because he's imaginary. Did I mention that this play was for kids? Now, I'll admit that this is a pretty good moral. While kids need to grow up and make some real friends, that doesn't mean that they should leave their imaginary friends behind or forget the memories that they've had, no matter what Inside Out tells you. Poor Bing Bong. I know that moral sounds silly, but it's completely normal. Take it from me, I'm just a figment of somebody else's imagination. Hey, theater critic, you know where I could find my watch? It's on the Nickelback CD. Thank you. Don't question him. Now as for the set design, it's actually pretty good. The main centerpiece of this play is a giant ship, which looks really well done, though I do kind of question why Jesse steers the ship from the side instead of the front like normal. We should be heading up on Treasure Island really soon! Captain, we've been going in circles for 4 hours. Shut up, Darcy! Why didn't we elect you as captain? And why aren't you over there on the wheel? I have no idea. And in terms of the performances, well, I feel like it could be better. For the most part, a lot of the students did a pretty good job. I thought that Miss Pierce did a pretty good job, Redlegs Ricky was entertaining, and One-Eyed Jack, well, if this is his last performance, He certainly went out with a bang. It's going to be sad without him. And the ending was probably the weakest part of the play. Remember when I said that One-Eyed Jack turned into a cowboy? I wasn't making that up. Turns out that Jesse's father had an imaginary friend named Gunsling Guster? I really don't remember. But yeah, he had an imaginary friend who was a cowboy who eventually rode off into the sunset, and he hasn't seen him since. And when Jesse finds the treasure he's been looking for throughout this entire story, which just so happens to contain the mementos of all of his actual friends, he ends up finding the spider ring that his father got from a Cracker Jack box. Except his father gave Guster that ring before he left. I think you already know what the twist is. One-Eyed Jack was gunslinging Guster. So is One-Eyed Jack or gunslinging Guster some sort of imaginary entity that exists in people's minds, and whenever oh my god, my head hurts! So Imaginary Pirate, it's for kids. They're going to enjoy it. But for us older students, this play is pretty terrible. But it's a fun kind of terrible for those who really want a good laugh. I mean, a pirate gets defeated with math! Do you want to know what the most surprising thing about this play is? It's only 45 minutes long! Seriously, the last play that I saw that was that long was Romeo and Juliet. 6 very wasteful days combined into 40 minutes that could be better spent in second period algebra. Now, this was probably due to the fact that it was meant for kids. Though I will admit that this play is better than 6 very wasteful days combined into 40 minutes that could be better spent in second period algebra in terms of writing alone. Any play with a line more legs than a bucket of chicken is bound to be horrible. It's almost the play equivalent of
throw some sauce on that dance burrito!
Again, for kids, they're going to love it. For us older viewers, I know I said it's terrible, but you guys are going to love it for a completely different reason. You know what? I'm just going to give this play 2 ratings. For kids, it's going to get 4 stars, but for us older viewers, it's going to get 3 stars. Have fun laughing at their expense. Alright, finally got this review done. So, what's next? You can't take it with you.